Well, I see familiar faces, and Dimitri is joining too. And Jeff, I want to welcome you guys to this because when people show up to something like that, what I see through is a commitment to building your practice, is a commitment to learning and growth, and that is very important. And today, the final topic of the service modality: connect, create, coach, propose. So we've covered all three topics prior, and I believe that each and every one of them are very important in regards to client creation, massively important. And how it begins with the connection. And what I got accustomed doing, and each and every one of you could practice that on your own. Inviting a person to connect 15, 20 minutes. Make sure there's no coaching there. Never. This is simply a call to invite to connect, to share, to see where the person is at, see, how you're aligning. And in that conversation, you actually could hear what are people struggling with, what you could be able to help them with. And the second thing is create. So from that connection call, you get to create. You get to create the following: how many conversations you want, one or two. So you actually could give an experience of coaching to the prospect. And you see, where everything begins, it begins with the first connection call. And I call this whole process an enrollment process because we begin with connecting. It doesn't even matter whether step two isn't going to get created, or step three, the coaching. What important is that you have connected and you could put that prospect on your list, and you could make a note to yourself whether to reach out later, whether to astonish them, um, in a bit of time. If something comes along, if you could see that, there's something that you could just offer to that person, not for any other need, but to service them greatly so they could move along with everything that they've shared with you. And then the third part, which I think is very, very important: coaching. What I noticed for myself, that when I began to get high paying clients, was when I turned my coaching into great coaching. Just like you, I was a beginner coach too. And my conversations went strangely, and there were a lot of blind spots that I did not see. And yet it is being apprenticed by a coach that has helped me over so many years to overcome this, um, and to be able to understand what is that surface want that the client brings in and what is behind the goal. Because there's always something behind the goal. And if they're not getting it yet to what's behind that surface want for them, that just means, guys, that we haven't established trusting and safe relationship yet for them to share. And rapport is plays a crucial part in that. And now we get to the point of proposal. And this is the topic of our conversation because I've struggled with proposals a lot, especially being a new coach. I didn't know how many conversations, and you see, my modality is the one that I adopted from Steve Chandler and Rich Litvin and Michael Neal and Melissa Ford and all of the coaches out there that I have been coached by, to be of service, to provide an experience of coaching to my clients, to my prospects, because it is in that relationship where you get to create your second conversation. And what's most importantly, You get to understand what can, what does this person needs help with? And not just by understanding, by asking them. Because you have had connection call the way I like to have. I like to have first connection call, then two coaching conversations. So I could really get to see where is this person, what is this person struggling with? What do they need? Not what I think they need. I actually want to know what is it that they need. And maybe in the first and second conversation, I may ask them, hey, if you and I would coach together, what would be the possibilities that you are looking for? What would you like to create? How would you like your life to be different? What is it right now? And how would you like it to be different? And now the person's telling me. Now the person's telling me what do they want to create together. It's never with me. It's together. What will we create? And why is it important now? You see, in that proposal piece, after we had three conversations in my case, I want to get really, really clear and slow down. What is it that that person needs the most out of coaching? What would be of service to them? And I get to slow down and I get to think, is that something that is possible for us to work together on? Can I be of service to this person exactly in that? Why would I want to participate? Why would I want to create that partnership? And in these slowed down way, I then get to come up with the proposal. And I get to say, this is what I see us working on. Tell Because I've already found out from them what is that they want to achieve. And now I could just speak to that. And guys, at this point, um Jeff, Dimitri, like what do you hear? Have you had proposals done before? How did it go? What do you think? Where are you struggling with? Let's open up a discussion, if you will, so it's not just me talking.
You know, I want to understand your definition of proposal versus, because some coaches, and I think you do as well, have packages, right? So I've been listening to you, I've been, over the conversations we've had, and I propose the whatever package or the whatever program for you. So, but I'm not doing that currently. What I'm doing is to say, um, let's say I have an initial call with someone. I had one last night, and the guy he's looking for a new job. He said, my life is a mess. I look at my house, it's like crap everywhere, and I just don't have the motivation to do anything. So what I said is, explaining, here's how coaching can help you. Here's how I can help you. By first of all, looking at what is it, being really clear on what do you really want? Let's think about it. There's all kinds of ways that we can get at that. What do you really want? What would, if in your mind, from your perspective now, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you want that you don't currently have? And then the other is we want to look at what are those areas of your life that are getting in the way of you moving forward. Fear, self-doubt, lack of confidence, whatever that may be. And we're going to take deep dives into each of those things and really get clear so that we can pave a path forward. And that's going to, so my goal in doing that with, let's say, this guy is to get him excited about the idea that I can help him in ways that he currently cannot help himself. So I don't know if that falls under the category of proposal. But it's basically, to me, whether it's a single, just getting him to engage in coaching and say, yes, I want to be a paying client of yours, to, if it's more of a program, a 6 month, and that's something I can't relate to at this stage in my coaching. Just say, I want to engage you for 6 months at, $10,000.
I love you
So,
seeing this. I really love you seeing this because you're right. At the just your awareness about, being a new coach. And I remember as my coach, Melissa, and my mentor, Steve Chandler, always told me, never, never try to rush a process of your own evolution, of an evolution of your business. Um, Always offer what you are comfortable offering. And in this way, you know, when you are being of service to a client, when having these conversations, right, with this person, with this prospect, during those conversations, you get to, based on what they're saying, whether they have been coached for a long time or not, um, you get to find out, what is the best offer to this person could be. And I remember at the
mhm,
beginning, I just wanted to practice and be paid to practice. And at the beginning stage, my proposals looked like, after two or three conversations, I'd already know where the person stands, and I just simply offer and say, "Hey, would you like to look like would you like to look what it to see what it would look like to work together professionally?" At the beginning stages, though, of my coaching career, I didn't even ask that. I actually waited for them to ask. Because if the person was
mhm,
curious enough, they'd ask, "Hey, how do we do this? How do we continue?" And I remember for the first, second, and very well into a third year, I'd be of service to people to the limits that I set for myself, right? Because it's not only that we have to be of service to people, but we have to be of service to ourselves first. And after how many conversations at no charge, and I don't like to call them free conversations because they're never free. This is your client's time, my time. And
mhm,
after how many conversations that at that time I decided to do, and I want you guys to also know that there's no set rate. You could have one, two, three, four, however many you want to have at the beginning, because the main thing is you need to be practicing. And at these stages of of the game of becoming a coach, the most important, and I can't stress that enough, is for us to practice and practice and practice coaching, because this is where we learn, okay, something isn't working. What else can I do? This is where our learning comes in. This is how we become great coaches. And back then, when I realized that, I figured, okay, if I'm not, if I'm still practicing to learn how to become a great coach, what can I invite people to explore and experience? And I remember at the beginning, I didn't have 6 months packages or yearly packages.
mhm.
I had one package. I had hourly rates, believe it or not. I just took people as they came. And I asked them at times, "Hey, what would support you at this point?" And people would be like, "Yeah, I'd love to meet with you. I don't know. Let's try a monthly thing. Yeah, let's do it." And that is when the fee portion comes in, you see? That is when you get to sit down and think of a fee that isn't about, your worth or your value. And that's where I tripped up most of the time. Well, how much is my coaching worth? Nobody could put a limit on how much our coaching is worth. Moreover, guys, I want to let you know that nobody will ever pay us what we're worth. No one. So when we begin this, being paid for our coaching, we could start with whatever price easy rolls off our tongue. Because the one thing that I want to tell you, if it sounds crazy to you, if it sounds like, if the price that you have in your head sounds a little crazy to you, it probably is. Because I remember my first package was $1,200 for 3 months of working together. And nobody paid that. But I was very surprised to see that right off the bat, people paid $900 for 12 weeks of working with me. And I went, huh. And even prior to that, I was charging hourly rates. I began with $25. I just wanted to practice. So, Jeff, what are you hearing? Like, have I answered your question in regards to
Yeah.
package?
And that's that, packages exist and people do it, and I would imagine are very successful with them.
Yeah.
But they have to come when the timing is right for a coach to even have the confidence to be able to do that. And to me, and I can only speak for myself, the way that I would get there is by doing, it's like by doing the mastering the basics
Yeah.
and knowing that I've got the confidence and that I've produced the results. I
Well,
mean, I've helped the client to arrive at results.
yeah.
And in doing that, where I can see, oh, I see the benefit of, offering someone at, maybe a more attractive per session rate of saying that, like, if we work together for 3 months and I'm going to give you a 3 month package. That means we're gonna meet twice a month for 3 months. Here's 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 the way that program would evolve and the things we're going to be able to do by going into that level of depth, that level of commitment that you, the client, are making to me, and the level of commitment that I am going to make to you as a client. Then that it's not just the 50 minutes that we're on a call, it's some other things that I can do for you, some other things where I can be, you know, sending you book titles or whatever that may be, that I'm really the bottom line being that I'm truly committing to engaging in that person's life in a way that's obviously appropriate to coaching, but that they are missing. They don't have that person to really be so hyper focused on their lives and helping them every step of the way.
Yeah.
And that's the role that I want to be in people's lives, where almost like they feel like, my week is not complete if I haven't had my coaching call with Jeff, something like that.
And that is
Um,
beautiful, Jeff. That is so beautiful because one thing that I want to tell you, it took me a while to learn that confidence isn't a requirement. Never. It is sometimes we arrive without confidence, without that much confidence. We begin with, not really believing in ourselves, and yet nevertheless we begin.
well,
And
it's that they fake it till you make it school.
yeah, and it is through that action that confidence becomes a skill. Confidence becomes something that is being acquired, not required. And it took me a while to learn that. And you see, you're right. You're absolutely right. you could set your rates based on whatever packages you want to offer, whether it's a month or two or three or six. And in this proposal part of the conversation, when when you've offered to have a conversation, what would it look like to work professionally together? And the person agreed. You get to show up with, I always say, a package ready to go. Not a ton of choices, because guys, I'm going to tell you right now, that is going to confuse the client. Prior to your proposal, you're really going to slow down and take a look at your conversations with the client and see, is that client really ready to for that committed work with me for a year or for 6 months? Should I even offer that? And then you get to create whatever other package that works for you or you think will work for that person. Also, another thing that I have done and I always practice with, let's say I've proposed 3 months to a client and I've set a fee, and then I zip up and I wait. I look at their response, and the client is kind of, well, that's a lot of money. Yes, it is. It's an investment in yourself.
Mm.
Hey, but what, like, tell me more. Tell me what do you hear when you say it's a lot of money? Or what do you mean when you say it's a lot of money? And most of the time, people will say, well, I like that. I like your offer, but I'm prepared to go for half of that. Great. Is that what you propose? Let's say your proposal was $3,000 for 3 months. And the person says, well, I'm prepared to sign up for half of that, which is $1,500. Right there, guys, never discount your rates. Never. Because your rates are your rates. And we get to test out different rates. And I've done that for a long time before I arrived at my price.
Mm.
And um, at that point, you could say, yeah, that's doable. So we'll coach for a month and a half at $1,500 instead of 3 months for $3,000. Yeah, we'll coach
Mm.
for a month and a half. And you know
So
what?
you didn't change the rate, but you changed the kind of the parameters so that your rate remains whole, but make it where if that's what you can afford, sir, okay,
Yeah,
let's be
that's
creative
it.
about that.
Yeah. And what you, if you're, for example, generous, and if you're noticing that person isn't sold yet, is on the fence a bit, what I do, I go, let's talk about it one more time. I'm willing to throw a bonus session so you and I can really slow down and can really look at some of the things that we can work on, some of the opportunities that you see for yourself. And we could, if the time allows, have that in the conversation right there and then. Or if you're seeing that you're pressed for time a little bit, that's also okay to have another conversation. Never, ever leave the person hanging. And I always say one of 18 disciplines that I will be teaching in the mastermind course, never leave a client in affordability. Always leave a client in a possibility realm of things, because yeah, when your client walks away thinking and talks to his or her partner and says, hey, I was thinking of giving this coaching a go, but it's $10,000 per year. Do we have this kind of money to afford? And the partner's like, no, we don't. We got to go to Hawaii. We got to, buy this and buy that. And then it's like, yeah, we don't have, and that's it. The client's gone. So what you want to do instead, you want to leave the person, no matter how your proposal went, whether you didn't get a yes or a no, whether it was a no for now, you always want to leave and end the conversation in the realm of possibility. Hey, let's get back and talk about those things that you wanted. What are those things? Like, what did you see possible for yourself? What would you be willing, like one step, to begin to test out and shift that in your world? Because now you really want that person to walk away not just thinking, I guess coaching isn't for me because it's so expensive. Now the person is constantly thinking, okay, what's possible? What can I do to create that money to continue working with that coach? Jeff, what are you hearing? What's clicking so far?
Well, I'm putting myself in the shoes of that person who spoke to his partner. Said, no, we don't have that kind of money. Are you crazy? Whatever. It could be the trip to Hawaii. It could be we got the kids, we got the mortgage. I know what we have coming in every month. Where do you think that's miraculously going to come from? And you want to go waste it on a life coach? Get another job. That's what you need to do.
Yeah,
Um, so is one thing is how do you really, I mean, that's a pretty, people have their own financial situations. Some have lots and lots and lots of money. They can throw all kinds of money at things. Others don't. And so, you said never, ever, 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 ever change your rate. And I'm wondering though, even in psychotherapy, um, the concept of limited sliding scale exists. So are you saying that you don't, I mean, for somebody who really wants to do it, here's what I can afford. That you would walk away from that client if they couldn't pay you what you're asking. I'm just trying to think of how to keep myself in the mindset of what's going to change my mind. I'm that guy. I talked to my wife. She said, hell no. Yet I really, I know myself and I know what I'm lacking and what I want, what I want to go after. I can't afford it. How many times can I tell you upside down, backwards, whatever, the answer is going to be the same. I can't afford it. So then how do I putting yourself in the shoes of that person, how do I change their mind?
I have been. I have been in the shoes of that person, and I am being in the shoes of those people every time I pay for the course, every time I enroll myself to a program, every time I renew with two of my coaches that I'm currently working with. Um, and I could tell you, and this is going to sound, and I remember when I first heard it, I couldn't believe that it could be this easy. But if the person is on the bench or, are not sure whether to say yes to have a hell yeah to this coaching, then it means they didn't see something that coaching could really help with. They didn't get it. So it was fun,
Mm.
yeah, conversations with, but it wasn't detrimental. You see, it wasn't like, no, I'm gonna do this because I know that this is going to be solved, and my life depends on it. This is what's at stake. If I don't do it, then it all goes to hell. And now, because the person have had experience of you for however many, two, three conversations, Now they get to decide, do I go out there and create the money? And creating, we all can. We all
Mm.
create. When we walk into that Costco and see that brand new TV for $3,700, and we really want it, even though we have a TV at home. And it's like, but it's this new one, and it's, QLD or whatever, Technologies or anything. And somehow we always come up with money, whether it's a TV, whether it's a new bag for women, or, shoes or another extra pair of shoes. Because I remember at the beginning of my career, when I heard the price, and you see, my coach was very skillful, and she still is. Back then, when she saw where I was at, that I was just a beginner coach, I didn't really know whether I was coming or going. And you see, my confusion was that I relied on information out there. I thought for myself to become a greater coach, I'm just going to go run around and take another program and take this. And I just got to learn and learn some more and some more. Maybe that will make me into a good coach. Boy, was I wrong. It wasn't the
Mhm.
information that was going to make me into a new coach and that actually made me into the coach that I am today. It was the transformation. It was the action that I got to take on the information that I acquired. It wasn't just
Mhm.
information sitting in my head because it didn't do anything. I just kept on running around. So when she saw that, and after she had a few conversations with me, she proposed 10 sessions. Or I remember back then, no, it wasn't 10 sessions. It was a service game because she saw that I wasn't ready to be coached. I was, I wanted to sit in the, somewhere in the class and learn. I wasn't ready to pull myself out there and say, okay. And I remember when she said the price, I went, what? I surely did not have that money. I didn't. And I said, thank you very much. It was nice talking to you. I gotta go. I remember I said to her, I'm gonna go create the money and come back. Yeah. How can I
Okay.
create the money not knowing how to create clients? You see, that is the very thing that I was lacking. And I remember I struggled for another little bit. I realized that nothing was being created. And I was like, okay, this person offered something to me. Maybe I could give it a go. And that is the time when I came up with the money that wasn't very easy to come up with. I didn't have extra, however many thousands US laying in my account. I didn't. But you see, I also knew that if I didn't participate, that if I didn't take that step, I will never learn. It'll be another 2 years of this, you know, $100 here, 150, 200, because I was making some money, but I wasn't making the six figures that I wanted to make. Not even
Mhm.
close. I was
Right.
barely breaking $3,000. I remember, the second year was six. Wow.
Oh, annually, 3,000 annually.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And when
okay.
I realized, I go, okay, how long do I want to do this? That's my dog, by the way. How long do I
Hi,
want
buddy.
to do this? And that's what shifted for me. You see, the need was so strong to change something over here. I went and I created the money. And I pulled the money out of all the places and spaces that I had, and I showed up. And that's what shifted my game.
Hmm.
That's what shifted my, and I went, oh, now I know. And then I decided to continue. And I got so surprised how easy it was to create the money, because now this was important. This was important for me because, and you see, I'm talking in the realm of coaches, right? And I also have 70% of clients that I work with that aren't coaches, you see? And those 70% of clients also, they show up, and if you haven't really gotten to the bottom of what would service that person, what are they really looking to solve, they'll never say yes, because they'll just walk away confused, because they really have to feel what's at stake if I don't start right now or continue. What is at stake? Because I
So
felt
how, so let's say someone agrees. I'm going to spend, I found it. I talked to my brother-in-law, my father, I got an extra job at Walmart, whatever it is. I don't know. And they come up with the money. Here you go. Um, and they do so with their hand trembling because they realize how much money they're about to give to you, trusting that you're going to be able to deliver to them. Even though in reality, a coach isn't going to give them their new life. It's going to help them to discover on their own, and this is my interpretation, help them to discover through talking, through listening, through exercises, whatever the case. But do you ever find where people have a unrealistic sense of what the coach can do for them,
yeah.
where you're not a magician, I'm not a magician.
And that's the agreements you get to set right at the beginning of your coaching proposal, that
Mhm.
I, as a coach, my commitment to you is to show up to each and every session fully present,
Mhm. This
fully.
is a written document that you're sending
I
them?
Yeah, I also have a written document. I used to have a written document. Now I do it verbally with my clients
Okay.
right on the proposal call, because you see those expectations. Yeah, I'm not going to be changing your life for you. You will be doing that. You will be committing to the actions that you say you will take. My commitment to you: to show up present, show up on time, continuously learn. And that means workshops, leadership events, online courses, anything that I can learn to make myself, to continuously make myself better as a coach. And I am being coached as well on the blind spots that I may not be seeing. And you
Hmm.
see, I remember when this career began for me, it was exactly with what you've mentioned. I thought there was something I had to deliver. I thought that at the end of these 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, they have to have some sort of a shift or else. No, no. I can show up knowing quite well what is an outcome of our coaching agreement, of our coaching of our coaching proposal, or of a coaching outcome is. I can know that, and I can talk about it, and I could ask questions, but it is my client that is actively or non-actively doing the steps. And that is the beauty of coaching, because if I'm noticing that my client is slipping off on their commitment somewhere, I want to slow down and talk about that.
Hmm.
I want to see, okay, where have we been misled? What is happening? Because when I show up as that leader, structuring with the structure, providing the rails, the guardrails of how our conversations are going to go, making sure that my client is the agenda all the time, never forgetting what our outcomes are, the ones that we set at the beginning of our relationship, whether it's month or 2 or 3. I'm never forgetting that. But I am also making sure that my client is an agenda, because when my client shows up telling me, oh yeah, I was supposed to do these action steps, but I didn't, I want to know why. I want to know what was in the way, because now
Mhm.
we're working on that, what people think hardwiring, because it never is hardwiring. It's the patterns, you see, it's the patterns that we seem to have a hard time breaking away from. And now this is where coaching really turns into magic, because the person begins to see where else are they falling off in their life. How's that, Jeff, as a response to your question?
Yeah, no, it's clear. And that's where I think did they ever ask you for a contract?
At the beginning, yes. At the beginning, some people were, and it was me being vigilant and wanting to have a contract and wanting to. Now, all I do, I send a written proposal. And you've received one. This is what we're going to
Mhm.
work on. This is what I see. This is what came from our conversations. This is what I will bring to the game. This is what requires of you. I slow down with each and every client, and I sit, because through the conversations that I already had with them, I know what's required. And for each client is different, because one client may struggle with this, one client may struggle, and I go through the points of what is required based on the conversations that I have had with them. And then I want to put in the logistics. So it's going to be, if the person is working for 10 sessions with me, that. If the person is signing up for a service game, that would be that. If the person is signing up for 6 months, 10 months, a year,
Mhm.
we want to put it in the logistics, and that's it. Because the
Okay.
the the most important part of the proposal happens verbally, because when that person receives an email from you in regards to a proposal, this is what we're going to work on, and I always send it after our proposal conversation, so the person actually sees it again, whether they said yes or no. I want to send that to them, so the person actually refreshes their mind and says, huh, yeah, how quickly am I giving up on the possibilities?
Yeah.
Do I want to? Because I remember receiving that proposal years ago, and I got inspired from what she saw. I was like, oh my God, she sees that in me. I get to create that.
Yeah.
It took me 6 months to create the money, and it was a heck of a lot of money. I got to be honest with you. Today, I don't even flinch how much I spend on my coaching. That's an investment. And I remember at the beginning, I didn't get back what I've invested. I got back partially. But then second year, third year, it's like, whoa, whoa. Because what happens, and Jeff, you and I have spoken about it. This is the goal line, right? And this is the soul line. What happens with the work of a coach, that although we know we take steps on the goal line, we're trying to achieve. And for me, at the beginning, it was six-figure business, right? Coaching business. And nevertheless, we know where we're going. but it is on the soul line that the transformation gets to occur. And maybe for the first or second year, you don't per se see, you know, yourself accomplishing the goals or really more, but what is happening nevertheless, that the goal line is occurring, your transformation about who are you being in your business? Who do you
Yeah.
want to be to run the business, to show up confidently or not confidently, to show up? How do you want to show up for your business? How committed you are? How committed you are to your clients? How committed you are to growing your practice? Because when this shifts, you get to experience a rising. And I remember how it written. The first 2 years, oh God. And then third year, bang. And you go, whoa, so it's possible.
Nice.
And then the fourth year, and it's like, okay, so I actually learned that. Because yeah, it's like I remember the first time I heard that, it's like in law school. Yeah, you go and you study for what, 4 years, and then you make then you study for a little more and little more, and then you make a partner, and then you begin to see some money. It's the same way here. Exactly the same way.
Earlier you talked about how confidence is not necessarily a requirement,
It's not.
right? And I get it. But one of the things that I think that, and maybe it's just another means to getting to confidence, is by meeting with my clients, be it on my hourly basis, is seeing seeing the results of what happened as a result of that client working with me and in a way transformed, able to accomplish, able to have achieved things that they have been stuck on for 25 years and they haven't been able to get anywhere. And then they start working with me. And so that in itself, and through, whether it's through the, just receiving the testimonials or just knowing, I could see how that snowballs, and where it allows me then to reach further and create more effective programs, where someone would work with me for 6 months. Because I know what it takes. It's not well, we'll do 2 sessions and life will be grand. It'll be good. There'll be quality conversations, but probably not realistic for the client to think their life is going to be completely transformed unless it was something so obvious. It's like, my bed is never made in the morning. And it's like, have you considered making your bed?
You got it.
Oh.
Jeff, you got it. Your confidence is not a requirement, because yes, you are a new coach. And you see, being professional, that was something that I had to learn over and over and over. Because you see, what being a professional coach meant for me was to impress somebody, to show up like I know it all. No, that's not what professional means. Being a professional coach, you're willing to show up present, always learning at each and every stage of your evolution. Because when you show up very well, knowing that you are a new coach and you are willing to practice perhaps at lower rates, and I'm not saying that anyone should be, but that was my thing. I knew that I was a new coach, and it is through practice that I would become greater. Through practice that my confidence will begin to grow. And it did. It did. Like I remember my first sessions that, I kept on hanging on to the questions to ask or exercises or, constantly taking notes. Now, very rarely do I take notes. And I'm so present. And it may seem like I'm confident. I probably am. And my confidence is in knowing that the question will arise. I will know what to ask. And I don't need to outperform this person. I don't need to perform or impress this person with my coaching skills. No, I just need to be a human being. And that is what Michael Neal taught me. I just need to be a human being connecting with another human being. And if I can have a chance, a slight chance to be the light in his or her world, oh, I'd love that. And if not,
Well, and I think
I,
it's just
I,
completely missing in people's lives, to have somebody who is there, who gets them, who listens.
yeah,
It's a world where it's become so depersonalized.
yeah,
And so to have that person, that's worth a lot.
that's it. And I don't need to come, with ton of certificates or this, persona, because that's what the professional coach meant for me, you know, labels and all the rest. Today, I can show up like this in my sweatshirt and I can know that I will be 100% present. And if I don't have a question to ask, I simply can be very vulnerable and saying, nothing shows up at the moment for me. But do you have a question? And it always works. Always works.
Mhm.
People just people steer themselves in the direction they want to go. Why? Because our clients are resourceful. Our clients are resourceful. We don't need to be resourceful for them. What we are offering is the space for their thoughts, their mind to slow down like snow globe. You shake a snow globe up and you don't see the figurines or there's a lot of dust, a lot of sparkles. And when all of that begins to fall down, that's when our client begins to see clarity. That is what they will pay for. Slowing down, clarity, that sense of relatedness to you. That, because as I shared on my posts, this beautiful man, young man, 27-year-old, the only thing he said, he goes, "You relaxed me." If we could do that one thing in our coaching conversations, is to relax somebody about their future, about their worries, about their anxiety, we got it. We got a client who wants to continue. And that's it.
Right.
Proposal from that place, yeah. Jeff, I'm noticing the time, and it is you and I, and it's been such pleasure. In the 2 minutes
Yeah.
that we have left, um, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I don't know. We've covered a lot of ground today. I feel like I've been asking away and um,
I love your commitment. I really do.
where this is going to come in handy. Um, I'm about to launch my ad campaign in my local publication. I've been working with the publishers there. I have an advertorial, so it's not only the ad, but I have an article basically about my coaching practice. And so I'm kind of mentally gearing up for it's like because you can say, what if nobody calls? What
Mhm.
if, nobody, I don't get any results? But I'm actually thinking the opposite. It's asking myself, Jeff, are you ready for the deluge of people saying, oh, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. And it's very exciting. It's a little scary, but I'm up for that challenge. I've been doing enough coaching that this isn't my first step out of the gate. I know what it's like to coach somebody. I know what it's like to just focus and listen and propose and help them to see things they weren't seeing. And if I can, and people are people, you know. So I feel like, the situations might differ, the challenges, the struggles, the goals, everybody's different, everybody's unique.
Oh,
But
and don't
I'm
you love that
so
about
excited.
yeah. That is what I love about our profession, that everybody's different. You could have one coaching session on this thing. You could have one coaching session on, oh, I get so excited when people
Yeah.
bring in different, because now, yeah, you get to experience. So to talk to that, first of all, every time, and this is exactly what you're feeling, you're feeling a little scared because now you're out of the now, you're into the future, trying to predict, foresee, guess what's going to happen. Because the beautiful thing about it, Jeff, is that you're taking action. You're actually testing out. Is this campaign ad going to work? Let me see. How many calls do I get from it? You know, have I got, yeah, what is my number? Like, what do I want to get from it? Okay, what am I actually getting? Is there anything that I can change? Because that is going to come in the form of learning. It's never going to come in the form of, oh, look at this. I put an ad in the paper and I got no results. That's not failure. That's learning. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm noticing I got one or two calls. Okay, what can I do? If I want a different result, what can I do? What is the new system? Or maybe I could tweak the system. Maybe I could tweak my invitation. Maybe, I get to learn and I get to create something new and test out again. Because this is it. This is the learning. It's not about me
Yeah.
failing. It's about me learning. And maybe, I get to wait and see how many calls do I get? Because in when I'm in the moment, I get to reflect to what is happening in the moment. Every time I'm trying to predict the future, I'm not in the moment. And that's what creates anxiety, that's what creates stress. Because you know, what I, Jeff, get to see is, yeah, what's going to happen? Yeah, how many people are ready for coaching? Okay,
Yeah.
you know, and what can I do with that if I want more? And you and I can continue explore that. That's the
Yeah.
wonderful thing about taking action and practicing. Jeff, it's I it's been lovely. I'm gonna stop our recording. I have spoken a little bit about the mastermind group that I wanted to create, but I guess I can also do that in the page. So hold on, let me just, yeah, I will do that on the Facebook page and see how many people can participate.
Okay.
All right. It
How are
was
you doing?
I'm doing really well. Really, really well. And I was hoping to see more people, but you see, now I get to bring this to my coach and I get to say, okay, like I've done this and I've spoken about this, you know, two people showed up, one person, oh, by the way, I think he left something. Um, I gotta run. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all he wrote was I gotta run, and then he was gone.
yeah. Yeah, and I get to see what I can create going forward. What is something that I could tweak so more people come in?
I'm just wondering, was this, so the person, Dimitri, it's only because I saw his name, um, and I speak with Dimitris all day long because so many of my students are named Dimitri, Dima, Dimitri, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, did he have a clear understanding of what, have you worked with him before and he just actually had to run, or was it maybe not what he thought it was going to be? I'm wondering why so early in to the call he had to leave.
Because beautiful question, Jeff. And when I saw Dimitri, I was a little surprised because that name didn't ring a bell from a Facebook group that I run. Uh, and I went strange. So I asked him. He showed up, he showed up a little earlier. So I asked him, I go, where would you be coming from? Like, where did you get the link? And he got it from Meetup. I also posted on, that I am doing this for coaches. And in the past, you've seen a few people from Meetup came. And
Hmm.
I asked him, I go, listen, so are you a coach? This event is for coaches. Yes, I am trying to be one. Okay. That just gave me a lot. When the person is trying to be one, and I told him, I go, listen, why don't you and I get together after that and talk and connect? Uh, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to connect. He wanted to know a little more about me. And I began telling him that. And then I saw you showing up. And for the purposes
Hmm.
of this program, I ran it how I was supposed to run. And I didn't change the course. It was on proposal and it was on proposal. And that was going to be that. And if Dimitri was curious enough, he could have stuck around. But it's
I'm
okay.
wondering if he, I don't know that it was related at all, but you had asked me a question. And I started talking about how, when I think it was about my the client who I spoke with yesterday about his life in disarray and blah blah blah. And I'm wondering if he was thinking, oh, this is for, he's like he's coaching and I'm not even there. I'm a beginner. This isn't for me,
The
or he
funny
felt
thing
like,
is, yeah, yeah. The funny thing is, Jeff, that I didn't ask you a question. I asked both of you a question. I asked you guys,
right.
yeah, do you know what proposal even mean? And you began
Mm.
answering it.
But he didn't even stick around long enough to answer. He was gone.
He was gone by the time you finished your question.
Yeah.
So, and
Well,
it
who
just it
knows?
just shows me that, especially like I could understand when people want to be off of camera when there's a lot of people, right? But if there's three of us on the call and you want to be off of camera, you're not there yet. You're not there yet. And that's okay. That's totally okay. Jeff, I just want to say this one final thing. Your commitment is going to get you there. I see myself in you so much. I do. And it is in that, in showing up for you, in showing up and talking about yourself, um, your obstacles. And there was something that I was preparing to write you an email about something I have heard and wanted to see how you are doing in regards to your sister and all of that. So I will be emailing to you
Okay.
probably not maybe tomorrow, but next week for sure. Something occurred. Something occurred and I was preparing because there was a resource that I found and I was like, oh my God, I have to share it with Jeff. Let's see
Oh,
what
nice.
yeah. So
And we'll talk next Friday. I
yeah,
believe it's next Friday.
we
And I
will
can
talk.
catch you up on we've done a lot of talking on coaching stuff and um but I'll share some other, I have a life too, and I can tell you what's going on. I can tell you that things with my sister are very good, and actually she and I are planning. She and I are going to go on a trip to the Caribbean, and we'll just have some quality time by the beach. And I saw her briefly uh 3 weeks ago. I had a surprise birthday. I don't know if you saw it on my Facebook, a giant
Or,
surprise birthday party.
uh-huh.
My brother came from Oregon, my sister came from New Mexico, my daughter came from California, and all my cousins and their kids descended, and it was an absolute 1,000% surprise. And it was really amazing. And I got to spend time with my sister, but it was limited because there were so many people. So I said, let's figure out how we can get together and have just quality you and me time. And first, I was going to go back out to Taos, which I normally do, but she brought up the Caribbean idea. And I'm like, I've been working so hard with my job, just the idea of just being able to listen to the ocean and see blue sky and palm trees, spending a lot
Good,
of time thinking about it now. So I'll be
good.
doing that with her. So I'll pitch you up on that stuff on Friday.
Jeff, really do, and I really am encouraging you to slow down and think of an agenda for the call, because when we slow down and think of some of the important things we want to mention and talk about on the call, we get that bit of clarity already, you see?
No, I will. I can
Yeah.
think about what are some things that I would really like to address and
Yeah.
talk about and get greater clarity. I have some things
Yeah,
that
because
are,
now we're not showing up, let's talk. No, we're actually showing up focused. Bang, 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 bang. These are the things. And that's not to say that if during that conversation something occurs and we slow down when and we dig uh, deeper, something isn't gonna happen. But it is, you see, through focus and intention that we get to grasp and we get to begin to create clarity in our life. So lovely talking to you. I
I
will be
got stuff.
seeing you.
I'll
Yeah.
send you an agenda.
All right. I will be looking forward to it, and I will slow down and write an email, and let's see if that, how that lands for you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
good one.